Feeling overwhelmed by the challenges of being a single parent? You are not alone. Welcome to Single Parent Reset, the podcast that helps you navigate the ups and downs of single parenthood and find the balance you deserve. Whether you're a single parent, co-parent or solo parent, this is the show for you. I'm Orla and I'm a life coach for single parents and a single parent myself. For more about me and the services I offer, head to sudlescoaching.com. As a single parent, I know how hard it can be, but I believe every single parent has the strength to create a life that they are proud of. In each episode, we'll shine a light on the unique struggles single parents face and cover the aspects of single parenting that are often overlooked or left unspoken. I'll be sharing actionable steps to help you overcome these challenges and find more calm and fulfillment in your life. Single Parent Reset is your weekly opportunity to gain a fresh perspective, take back control, and feel more in charge of your journey. Today, we are going to talk about the topic of overwhelm and how one of the drivers of your feelings of overwhelm could be coming from not the sheer volume of everything that you need to do or the emotional challenges you might be facing, but in fact coming from within you. And that is your own high standards and this idea of perfection that you've set for yourself. We are going to explore the idea of perfectionism and break down if it needs a reframe to make your day-to-day a bit more manageable. There is no doubt that single parents are dealing with a lot. I mean, the to-do list that only seem to grow each day, managing finances on a single income, juggling work and childcare, and on top of that, trying to find a minute to yourself. It can feel like you are running from one thing to the next and nothing is getting done right. As you spin on this hamster wheel, you can, without even realising, become your own worst critic. Do you find yourself thinking you're not good enough? Or have you caught yourself beating yourself up as you compare yourself to other parents who make having this whole family thing look completely effortless? Or after a play date at another parent's house, have you gone home and taken one look at your house and berated yourself thinking, this place is a mess, I can never have anyone over here? Perhaps at work, do you push yourself to make sure you do not let what can feel like at times the chaos that is your home life show, and you're going above and beyond to let everyone at work see that you're more than capable? Or you could be the first one to put your hand up if the PTA needs help because you feel that will show other parents that you are just like them. And of course you can take on some additional tasks. No problem. Just send the raffle tickets my way. These are all examples of times single parents get their own idea of what perfect looks like in their head and go the completely unnecessary extra mile to keep their narrative of perfect happy. One of the big risks of striving for your idea of perfection can actually be it ends up being the reason we feel overwhelmed. In this episode, we'll break down how perfection might be fueling your stress, how to let go of those impossible standards, and how to find the balance and ease in your daily life. Just before the end of the school year last year, I had a client come to a session and they were in an absolute spin about their kid's birthday party, which was that weekend. The client had planned a birthday party in a local hall. The entertainer was booked and the invites had been sent out. They had spent the past 3 nights up past midnight hand-making decorations. They were worried that they hadn't put enough in the party bags and wouldn't be able to get more stuff in time because the party was 3 days away. They were still deliberating over the food for the kids and the adults. And the cake, oh God, let's not forget about the cake. She was scouring the internet for the perfect Paw Patrol cake idea that would fit her theme. The client was frantically running through the lists of everything that needed to get done over the next 3 days. And the more that she went on, the more I could see how stressed she was becoming. Tears began to stream down her face as she said she didn't think she would be able to pull this off and how she felt like a complete failure. I really felt for my client, as I've been there. I know the stress that comes with planning a birthday party in a hall. I gave her some space to breathe, and once she was ready, I asked her, what was the most important thing about the party? And she said that her daughter and her friends have a good time. I then asked, well, what will make them have a good time? She began to smile and said the entertainer because I know how much they love entertainers, and playing keepy uppy with the balloon because that is just their favourite thing to do at parties. I then asked, what can you do to make sure that happens? She smiled and said, well, I've done the entertainer and I have a packet of balloons, so I guess I've done it. Great, I said. So now that we've established why the party is important and what you can do to make sure this happens, it sounds like you've done all that. I could see my client's shoulders begin to relax. We then revisited that frantic list the client came to the session with, and I asked, what is so important about getting everything on that list ticked off? And the client said, well, I just want the day to be perfect. I then asked, what does perfect mean to you? And then through some exploration of the idea of perfect, the client went on to share how she felt that because she was a single parent, she didn't want anyone to think that she couldn't throw a great party for her daughter. She was so caught up in the idea of perfect that she lost sight of the fact that she had already done what she needed to do to achieve the most important goal of the day, which is for her daughter to have fun. Once the client realised that it was in fact her own idea and drive for perfection that was fueling this birthday party overwhelm, we could then work to banish that idea of perfection. She could then let go of the stress and look forward to the party, not thinking if she was meeting a standard that no one was expecting her to meet, no one but herself. First of all, let's look at the connection between perfectionism and overwhelm. Think about the last time you felt truly overwhelmed. Be really honest with yourself. Was it because you had too much to do? Or was it because you felt you had to do everything perfectly? There was a chance it could have been a bit of both. The thing is that as single parents, we're already managing a lot. But when we add the pressure to do it flawlessly, we are just setting ourselves up for failure. Maybe for you, you feel like you have to cook healthy, Instagram-worthy meals every night. Or it could be that your house has to look spotless, even if you're the only one who's cleaning it. Or you might be holding yourself to impossible standards at work because you don't want anyone to think your family situation is affecting your performance. Perfectionism doesn't just make the workload heavier, it creates an emotional burden too. It leads to guilt when we fall short, anxiety about whether we're doing enough, and constant second guessing of our choices. Over time, this emotional load can be just as overwhelming as the tasks themselves. But here's what I want you to hear. Perfectionism is just a story we tell ourselves. It is not a requirement, it is not reality, and luckily, it's something we can learn to let go of. So how does perfectionism show up in your daily life? For some, it's about comparing yourself to other parents, whether it's the perfectly dressed family at the school drop-off, or like my clients, the birthday party to end all birthday parties. For others, it's more of an internal standard you set yourself, like always being on time, never forgetting anything, or being the strong parent who never has to ask for help. Now, I know I definitely have a touch of that. A year ago, I did a rejig of my house that involved dismantling a bed and moving it into another room and rebuilding it again. Now, this wasn't just any old bed. It was one of those beds with storage underneath, so it was heavy and extremely hard to build. Yes, I felt empowered after achieving it all on my own, but I also had a sore back. And through making this podcast, that now screams out to me as me trying to hold myself to an idea of perfection, that I'm perfectly capable of doing household work alone. It can happen to the best of us. These standards often come from a good place, wanting the best for your kids or feeling the need to prove that you're doing okay on your own. But perfectionism can actually steal your joy and fuel your overwhelm. It stops you from celebrating what's going well and keeps you from focusing on what you're just doing wrong or what you think you are doing wrong. Moving on to how do we actually let go of this idea of perfection that we have built for ourselves? I want to get something clear, and that is by letting go of perfectionism, this doesn't mean that you stop caring. It means you start caring about what really matters. When we're feeling overwhelmed, it's often because we've taken on too much or set expectations for ourselves that simply are too high. But instead of pushing through that overwhelm, what if we pause to check in with ourselves? Sometimes just asking the right questions can help us uncover where the perfectionism is at play and give us the clarity to let go. I'm now going to talk through 3 steps to help you recognize when your idea of perfect is at play, explore the root cause of the idea of perfect, and how to shift perspective and reframe this idea of perfect. The first step is bringing it to your awareness. When perfectionism is at play, when you're feeling overwhelmed, here are 3 questions you can ask yourself to see if perfectionism might be driving your stress. 1. Am I holding myself to a standard I wouldn't expect from someone else? Would you expect your friend in your situation to have a spotless house, perfect work performance, or to never need a break? If not, why are you holding yourself to that standard? 2. Am I doing this for myself, or am I trying to meet someone else's expectations? Are you trying to live up to the external idea of what a single parent should look like, or are you prioritizing what's best for your family? 3. Am I prioritizing tasks based on their true importance, or am I focusing on things that make me feel in control? Perfectionism can lead us to over-focus on details like meticulous organization of your cupboards while neglecting the bigger priorities like taking time out for yourself. Once you've established that yes, perfectionism is present, the next step is to get curious about where these perfectionist tendencies are coming from. Perfectionism often has roots in our pasts or in the stories we tell ourselves. 3 questions to help with this exploration are: 1. Whose voice is this? Is this expectation truly yours, or is it something you picked up from a parent, a teacher, or even society? For example, did you grow up believing that a clean house equals to a good parent? 2. What story am I telling myself about being a single parent? For example, I have to do everything perfectly because I'm the only parent my kids have. Challenging this narrative can help you release the self-imposed pressure. And 3, where did I first learn that being perfect is important? This could stem from childhood experiences or even cultural expectations or past relationships. Start looking into this and understanding, where did you first learn this behaviour? Once you've identified perfectionism is at play and explored where the narrative has come from, the final step is to reframe it. These are my favourite 3 questions to help shift my perfectionism mindset. 1. What truly matters in this situation? Think about the bigger picture. Is it more important to get everything right, or to be present and enjoy the moments with your family? Who benefits from me holding on to this perfectionism? If the answer isn't you or your family, it may be time to let it go. What will happen if this isn't done perfectly? Will it really matter in the long run if dinner is a little late or if your child's clothes don't match? Sometimes good enough really is good enough. Perfectionism isn't about being better. A lot of the time, it can actually be about fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, or fear of not being enough. But the truth is, you don't need to be perfect to be an amazing parent, friend, or colleague. By letting go of these pressures, you're not just freeing yourself, you're also teaching your children that being real is more valuable than being perfect. A phrase that I love is done is better than perfect. Better to have it done and ticked off your list than a list that has half done things because you don't have the capacity to do them perfectly. If there's one takeaway from today's episode, let it be this: perfectionism isn't serving you. It's okay to let go of the idea that you don't need to have it all together all the time. When you release that pressure, you make room for balance, joy, and calm in your life. Remember, you are doing an amazing job, even when it doesn't look perfect. So this week, I challenge you to let go of just one thing that doesn't serve you or your family. Maybe it's the idea of cooking a meal from scratch every single night, or the pressure to keep your house immaculate. Whatever it is, let it go and notice how it feels. If you're interested in working with me one-to-one, please go to my website, sullescoaching.com, for further details. And don't forget to follow my Instagram page @SullesCoaching for more insightful content on living a life to be proud of as a single parent. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episodes of Single Parent Reset. You've taken 15 minutes out of your day to do something for you, and that alone is a step in the right direction towards living a life you deserve. If you find this useful, please share with your friends and family. Remember, many single parents may seem to have it all together, but this might be exactly what they need to hear to get them through this week. So do the kind thing and pass it on today.